We've got breaking developments coming in. A man who's said to be terror fund collector for the Popular Front of India, an organization that has now been banned in India, has been arrested. He was a most wanted member of the PFI named Shahul Hameed, who has been deported from Singapore. He has been arrested after his arrival in Madurai. Bhavtosh, tell us more about the role of this person in collecting funds for the PFI.
Well, the Enforcement Directorate had registered a case of money laundering last year, taking cognizance of various FIRs that were filed by the NIA, Priya, after which this person was on run for a long time. The Enforcement Directorate had said that based out of Singapore, he was collecting funds on behalf of PFI, though PFI was a proscribed organization. And yesterday he was deported, and subsequent to that, he was deported and then arrested formally formally arrested in Madurai. And once he was arrested in Madurai, the Enforcement Directorate brought him here in Delhi because there was a non-bailable warrant pending against him. And the ED then sought his custody for 14 days. The court then granted his custody for 10 days, and he is now in the custody of the Enforcement Directorate. Remember that the Enforcement Directorate, while filing several complaints, that personnel were in fact taking funds from different parts of the country, both in the country and outside the country, and they in fact were running this operation, and 120 crore rupees was legally and illegally collected by them on behalf of PFI.
Right. Do we know anything about what these funds were being used for?
Well, if we just go by the prosecution complaint as well as the charge sheets that have been filed by the NIA as well as by the Enforcement Directorate, they claim that PFI wanted to establish an Islamic State by 2047, though PFI had denied this. But the UAPA tribunal that upheld the ban that was imposed by the government had in fact said that PFI wanted to establish an Islamic State by 2047, for which these funds were being collected not only in the country but also outside the country. And Sohail Hameed was one of the persons who was in fact collecting the funds in Singapore, and not only legally but also illegally he was doing so. The Enforcement Directorate, in fact, in its remand application had said that he was an active member of PFI, and he was deported from Singapore, formally arrested in Madurai, and then once he was arrested in Madurai, he was brought to Delhi, and his custodial remand was sought by the Enforcement Directorate for 14 days, though the court gave only 10 days of custodial remand.
Of course, do we know anything about the source of these funds? Who were the people who were sending these funds to this man in question for establishment of an Islamic State in India by 2047?
Well, it's an ongoing investigation, Priya, and the investigation, in fact, said the investigation revealed that individual as well as organization have been providing funds to PFI for a very long period of time. In fact, it started way back in early 2000. PFI also morphed out of another banned organization, SIMI, and these funds have been collected in Middle East as well as from China. In fact, these are the organizations that were providing funds to PFI.
Right. There has always been apprehension around international funding for the PFI. Thank you, Bhavtosh, for joining us. We move on to another story coming in from Tamil Nadu. Now, poet and lyricist Varamuthu